Ah yes, Hungary. Known for no.
Paprika.
See ya, and welcome back to the August Euro Trip series. Last episode we visited the CEO of War Crimes, Serbia, where I met up with a fellow YouTuber friend of mine. In this part we officially begin the drive back up north, and today I will show the experience of a Finnic Estonian going to visit our distant brothers of the Ugric Hungarians. It is a country I've always wanted to visit purely because of this Finno-Ugric fact, and that's what we do. First and foremost, the country is bordered by what the locals say are themselves, but in reality land are bordered by Austria, Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, Croatia and Slovenia. Our journey does not begin in Hungary proper though, but rather in the North Serbian town of Subotica. Subotica, or Sabatka, is the northernmost city in Serbia. The main reputation of Subotica is that it's right by the Hungarian border, and that it's a springboard for Middle Eastern refugees to get into Hungary and West Europe, which, good luck with that. But okay, why am I including a Serbian city in a video on Hungary? Well, you see, and what I'm about to say might trigger a major war in the comment section. Subotica has always been a Hungarian town ever since its beginnings up until the collapse of Austria-Hungary. And whatever you make of it nowadays, the Hungarians still make up the majority of the population, and the city feels much more Hungarian compared to other Serbian cities. As soon as we arrive in town,
you go to the candy island, the first thing you see is...
Subotica is quite a small town though, so it's basically just a few streets of a nice old town, which is very pretty, to be fair. It's a quite typical European town with a main pedestrian zone and the main square, including the National Theatre, a park with some founders and some religious monument, a main boulevard with signs pointing to random cities, and this park, with a monument to the victims of fascism. And the most eye-catching sight in town for me, this church which has such an alarming amount of cracks in them that it could just crash down at any second now.
What the heck?
Moving on, we reached the second best attraction in Subotica, the border. Oh boy, is the border chaotic. The main problem we caught was that there was constantly these German cars and motorcycles pushing themselves through the crowd to get ahead of everyone, and then getting forward checked for 10 minutes minimum. And you know why. It wasn't as much of a nightmare as I thought, as after less than 2 hours we were let through. And by the way, when we got our truck checked, they just opened it and said, and let us through. Isten áldja meg Magyarországot, mindig segítsük szükséges Finno-Ugric testvérért. Soon we reach a little town with a name that will drive you insane. Kiskunmaja. Hungarian is just such a beautiful language. Anyway, so what in the name of Saint Stephen am I doing in some random ass small town in southern Hungary? Well, I'll tell you what, a water park and a campsite. It's undoubtedly one of the most pleasant stays here in these little wooden cabins. Not knowing until the next day that there was a water park right there. Now in, I don't know, Switzerland, this would probably set you back your entire life savings, but here it barely cost 120 euros. That is cheap. Thank you to Orban for making Hungary's country associate, so that everything is dirt cheap. Obviously, Hungary's most well-known natural feature are the healthy thermal spas, and they're great. But enough of this shit, let's go to the one, the only, Budapest. Oh man. Oh boy, Budapest is just, where do we even begin? Undoubtedly one of the most glorious cities I saw on this trip. This city has my favorite architecture out of any city I've ever seen before. So Budapest has been historically divided into two parts, Buda and Pest, which were united into one city only in 1873. We begin our tour in Pest with the first attraction of the day, the National Opera House, which has gotta be one of my favorite buildings here. Anyway, then we walk the beautiful streets to another favorite of mine, the St. Stephen's Basilica, named after not the first martyr of Christianity, but actually the first king of Hungary. But I wish I had been able to go inside, but they were holding some goddamn concert, so that didn't happen. Anyway, then there's also, yes, the cleanest car in Hungary, the Liberty Square, where you have makeshift Roman ruined statues. Then there is this building, little bowl, and the Soviet monument, where they basically write the Soviet liberation of Budapest in early 1945. But you all know how well that went. But to not give all the attention to this ugly stick, they built some statues of American figures, like Old One, for example. And then there is this primary thing Budapest is known for, other than being mistaken for Bucharest, of course, the Hungarian Parliament building. Wow, just wow. I mean, I don't get it. Why does a country with one of Europe's shittiest governments have such a fancy parliament building? Hoo-wee, what a marvel it is to just look at. What can I say? Hungary's pride and joy, man. Now, this is the Kossuth Square, where you have loads of other cool buildings and statues. Right next to that is the mighty Danube, across which lies Buda, and some of its major attractions, like the Fisherman's Bastion, Buda Castle, and the Gellert Hill. Also, on the banks are a bunch of shoes left behind. From whom? Well, rewind to the World War II era, and you'll see. Moving on from that, for any person wanting to go from one side of the city to the other, they would usually use the city's most famous famous bridge, the Széchenyi Bridge. But at this time it was and still is under renovation. With the nearest bridge being 2 kilometers away and under limited time, we decided to go back to our car and go to Buda that way. But first we had to try the one and only meat soup, otherwise known as goulash. This is Hungary's staple dish, served as both a soup and also in solid form. And obviously you can see the paprika powder sprinkled on top. Before we arrived to our car, we walked past Higher Street, which has become almost famous for some Slovak guy coming over to explore the biggest scam in this country. Once we do get back to our car, we drive over this bridge, see this river island, and then we make it to the iconic viewpoint of the parliament, climb some steps, and then make it to the Fisherman's Bastion. Another major site filled with tourists. You get there and boom, St. Matthias Church, one of the most beautiful Gothic churches I've ever seen. And then the Bastion itself, where you can get great views and look edgy as you sit on its walls. The Bastion is called this way because of the Fisherman's Guild defending and selling fish all over the area. All the big buildings lit up and it's pretty fucking lit. Then our time suddenly ran out and we had to get back to old Maja. But before that I did a last minute souvenir run where I got to show you the great bootleg London Eye at Elizabeth Square. But hey, props to them for not putting it right next to the river. But yeah, that would be my half day in Budapest. I know I missed out on so much the city has to offer, and I'll definitely be back here for many times. In conclusion, I really loved my stay in Hungary. It was short but sweet. Lots more to see, so I would gladly come back here any day. But now it's time to head out to Slovakia.